Welcome to the Young Man in the Three. This finals tipping off Thursday is pretty lucky for us as a show. We've got a lot of family members on both sides tipping off. Our first ever episode of the new iteration of the show obviously was with Tyrese Haliburton and President Obama. We taped that down in D.C. between Tyrese, Drew Nembhard, Pascal, TJ on the Indy side, and then obviously Jalen Williams, Alex Caruso. We've been fortunate to sort of get to tag along with both of these teams for this ride. Richie put together a little super cut of some of the interviews from so far this year. Hope you guys enjoy. And I think this summer you were going to see a lot more of both of these teams on this channel. Do you have a list of your favorite League Pass teams, like your 4 or 5 teams that you're going to?
I like how the Pacers are playing.
Are you only saying that because I'm in front of you?
Yes. But also because you guys play with pace and you move the ball around. And look, I if you ask me the teams I enjoyed watching most over the last decade, it's the Warriors. And before that, it was the Spurs. I just like that style of basketball, right? The beautiful game and the ball's popping and nobody's just backing up and dribbling the whole time. And you guys are playing that style of ball. Now, you got to pick up that defense a little bit. Yeah. But
we're figuring it out. We're figuring it out.
And then look, there are individual players. I mean, it's hard to take your eyes off Wembanyama when he's on the court. I mean, you're too young to remember when Durant first came in the league. And that was freakish, right? You just hadn't seen somebody that tall with that skill set. And you're definitely not old enough to remember Magic and Bird. Those two guys, people forget how tall Bird was. I mean, Bird was like a legit 6'9", and Magic was 6'9", and those guys are doing things that up until that point, big men hadn't done. But to see a guy, he makes the rest of y'all just look tiny.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I mean, and to see, his growth curve, it's hard not to watch them. And Anthony Edwards, I enjoy, because he's just got a charisma on the court, and you can just tell he's just having fun out there.
For sure.
I was pleasantly surprised because, me and Mark came and saw me in Austin in the off season, just check in, see, obviously I'm new, and he wanted to say, "What's up? Come watch me work out." Normal stuff, summer stuff. And one of the things he told me was the guys are great. Like they're a little goofy. Like they cut up, but when it's time to compete and go to battle, the guys lock in, and that's been true to a T.
So with Shea in particular, he's, I think everyone basically agrees, is having an MVP season this year. He's been very good for a long time. This is not a new development. Seeing this up close, was there a little bit of shit, I didn't realize this guy was like that until you got here? Or did you, when you're sort of sizing up your new teammates before even getting to OKC, you're like, I'm walking into a situation with an MVP. I'm walking into a situation with a guy that's the best player in the league, the best guard in the league, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, in my opinion, I thought him and Luka could have been a coin flip last year. Obviously, Joker's Joker. it's hard not to give it to him.
Yeah, he's in it every year.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that's just going to be there because the numbers look great and he is that good. But I thought, watching him and Luka play last year, I thought if one of them would have won it last year, I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. So coming into this year, I knew that he was going to kind of be ready to go, but getting to know him now and knowing how competitive he is, I could see the type of season he's having is he has, he might not ever come out and say it publicly, but the dude competes and he wants to compete every night, and he thinks it's a blessing to be able to go out there and play basketball every night. And so seeing him in person and how effortless he makes it look, he's one of those guys in the league where it's you look up at the end of the third quarter and it's oh shit, he's got 32, 7, 6, and 3 steals and a block. And it's I mean, I thought he just, was having an average game. Like, it's nothing crazy. Like, it's not a loud anything. It's just like routine. And that's when you really get into like, the superstar category of like, it looks easy and you're putting up crazy numbers and it affects winning. That's when you get into different categories.
So Dub, I saw this stat from Nick Gallo. I think it was today or yesterday. He said one of 12 players in NBA history to score 3,500 points, 900 rebounds, 800 assists, 250 steals, 100 blocks in their first 200 games. And the other dudes are like MJ, Bron, Magic. It's like murderer's row. And then he's in it.
HOFs.
Yeah. And well-deserved all-star for sure.
Definitely.
But just your sort of takeaways on what he brings as like a dude and as a teammate, or as a player and as a teammate, because I think the player stuff speaks for itself. But I also think we've talked about this with him before. Like, he's the Energizer Bunny. He's the guy that's sort of the heart and soul of what you guys do. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, to be able to play with him, like you said, like the Swiss Army knife, it's a generic term, but like he's probably the most accurate version of that in the league this year. Like 21, 5-5. He's got a couple steals every game. If he needs to, he'll guard the 4 or the 5 on the other team. He's also going to just like rip somebody at half court and then go down and dunk it. 3-level score. Like he can pretty much do it all. And I think the compliment he is, has played to Shea this year is a big reason why we're having the success we are. And only, like you said, 200 games, something like that. So, which is back to my point from early in the pod, like he could get better.
Yeah.
Like this isn't peak.
Scary.
Yeah. This isn't, we're not at the top of the mountain.
This was, objectively speaking, this is what's scary for everybody else in the league about you guys in general. Is everybody can get better. This youngest team, like every player can get better. And that's not even talking about the assets and all that stuff, which is almost a different conversation because it's not relevant to the team this year.
Yeah.
But there is this level of, I would imagine, like frustration a little bit about like, this is not the last dance.
Hey man, everyone plays the game. Some people just play it better,
He has a very interesting perspective on this though, because you've coming up in LA. LA is for a bunch of reasons, is the polar opposite. Not just here, but a lot of places, a lot of great teams in sort of smaller markets around the country where like no matter what, they're talking about you. Yeah. If you're winning, you're getting gassed up. If you're losing, it's fire everyone, get rid of everyone. And so when you have that back and forth, and you were on a great team and you're on a championship team in LA, so it's not like you've seen the peaks and valleys on sort of both sides of this. Like we talked about it's a stupid thing now, but like you guys not playing on Christmas, like everyone knew this was coming. You know what I mean? Everyone knew that 61 wins was coming.
Apparently not everybody.
And so not everybody important.
And so at what point, and maybe this is why we just got to keep doing these, because I'm like, at what point does it become a thing where like these places are just not going to do it? They're chasing clicks. They're not chasing, what actually matters.
It's a very thin line because it's like some of it, chasing the clicks also pays like our bills in a sense, like they're trying to get seen as well. But then some of it too is like, I don't think they do a good job of listening to like what the people want to, because a lot of times, like the Christmas example that you're giving, I've seen a lot of the stuff where they're like, why weren't we playing? So it's like, it's not just our team, you know what I mean? But we do a good job of just controlling what we can control. But it is, it's a transitional period too. There's a lot of like older guys moving in and out of the league right now. So there's like a little bit of transitional stuff that I think is going on with the media too, where they're trying to like, give a lot of things like their last kind of like push before it's kind of over.
Some of that too, though, is like you got to recognize as the league at a certain point, like you can, like we talked about with the trend of media and like grabbing attention, like you can have some of that, but like at the end of the day, people tune in when there's good basketball on TV, like regardless of who's playing. Like when there's good basketball being played, people aren't going to tweet, wow, these people are just shooting threes, this game sucks. Like
true.
When there's substance to the game, like we've been saying. And in my opinion, our team is one of the best true basketball substance teams in the league. Like we play the whole game. Like we don't skip steps. Like we play real basketball. And that's why we have so many wins. First of all, it's why we're a good team. But like also, like eventually you got to mix that into the the national TV schedule, because that, at the end of the day, is what people want to see.
I think, it'll just be a draw, bro. Like, I don't really know how else to like explain that. Like, I just feel like people would want to watch good hoops.
Well, some of this is also they just, people have to, they come slowly, but they learn. As you keep winning, even like we talk about like you.
Yeah, you got trial by fire. Like, you got to learn.
Winning solves everything,
Yes.
for sure.
I was thinking about what you were saying about both sort of appreciating the guys at the point, but then also the sort of leadership you've brought to this particular group. When you look back, you look back at the championship experience, you look back at the success you guys have had. Team breaks up, but that's sports.
Yep.
Things happen in sports. What are the lessons you draw from that you sort of instill in this group? Because before, and we'll get to last year, but before last year, this was a team that hadn't had as much success playing deep in May, and maybe early in June.
No, I think for me, like with our team, like that Raptors team, and one of the things that like the coaching staff and everyone was always preaching was like we had like, even on the board, we had everywhere is like April, May, and June. Like that was playoff time, like, that end of the year, going to the playoffs, like this is where we want to be our best. Like this is where we want to play the best basketball. And I think one thing that I learned from that was like, like there was times that during the season it was like ups and downs or whatever, but coach always like, even the team just focused on like in April, May, and June, you want to be your best. And I think like that's what for me I try to get to the guys. It's like, all right, like we got to be consistent, we got to work hard and do everything we got to do, but just know that we got to peak at the right time. Like that's what it is about winning the championship. Like, because you see people that have like amazing starts of the season, and then like, after All-Star break, it start getting a little shaky, And I think that like as long as, consistently you just improve and peak in April, May, and June, like that's when because those are the times where you win. You know what I mean? Like, and I think like that's something that I try to like tell the guys and trying to focus on and understand that it's going to be ups and downs, but as long as we play at the same level coming this time, like we're gonna give ourselves the best chance to win.
What did you feel like you learned from last spring in that regard?
At that point of the season, all your personal agendas kind of got to get thrown out the window. I think it's more about buying into winning as a team, and it might be you take a less shot or you might not get as much shine as you may want individually, but winning will solve that in those cases and will allow you to kind of we all win as a group. We can win individually too. So I think that's what we did a good job of, and I think that's what our team is doing right now. I think we're understanding that this is winning time, and it's not about getting your buckets up or getting your stats or your nice little highlight mix.
I wanted to ask about
That's a great point.
Yeah, it's a great point. I wanted to ask about the Knicks series in particular. I went to all those games. When Ty comes to New York, we usually sort of see each other, and we'd go to like one restaurant. Whenever we went to one restaurant, he played bad in game one, and then we did that.
That's all I got.
Another spot. But it was maybe I'm biased because it's like I following the people involved more closely or whatever. But like for a second round series, there was just a lot going on. There was a lot going on. There's a lot of energy. The Knicks fans, another crazy fan base. Like Game 7, Game 7 is for a non-finals game is about as lit as you're going to get.
That was one of those ones for sure. Just seeing it before the game, I felt that. I was looking in the stands. I was like, "This is a moment."
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, I've been in Game 7. The Philly game was Game 7. Like
the camaraderie thing is really interesting, and I think that now everybody knows it. But I feel like when you guys were coming up, it was probably a thing that just people around you guys would understand. How long did it really start to feel like, okay, this is click, like this is family? And then also, like you just mentioned it, but like this is very unique in professional sports, and understanding that right away. And this is your first team you've been on, but this is not even just basketball, any professional sports. It's like guys are looking at their contracts, they're looking at all kinds of different things. And so you can have a good team without great camaraderie. And so understanding that that's happening, and basically like living in the moment and realizing how special it is.
Yeah, you hit that on the head. Like you can have a good team without like everybody being buddy. It's just honestly, I think when Chet got hurt, to be honest, because like the way we kind of rallied around Chet, and Chet might not feel that way either, because obviously him being hurt to start his rookie year is a completely different thing. But just from the outside looking at the situation, like how we were able to rally around him and like keep him involved through the whole thing, for him to be a new guy and like do that. And I think that's been really special. And then we have like another opportunity to do it with Tope.
Yeah.
You know, like kind of keep him included in some of the stuff we do. So that's why I kind of was like, this team is probably a little different because it's really easy to like exclude somebody like when they're hurt for the year. So thought we did a good job of that. And then that just built on and on.
It's funny. This is almost like a Matt question, but I feel like like Trey showing up to the Wiggins jersey thing is a great example of this, of like, he's not on the team anymore. And there's still the idea of like, I'm going to go out of my way to do this thing for one of my boys in the middle of a like long, stressful season is pretty telling.
Yeah. Like we go to each other's like jersey retirements, and like if somebody has like a team event, like we go, like I went to Chet's, he does like a Christmas thing for kind of like displaced kids and stuff like that. So just showing up to that, like I think we just all do a good job of like trying to like be there for each other. I think some of that's Oklahoma, like, you know, there's only so much to do, so we enjoy being around each other. So anytime we can, you know, kind of go hang out, we do it.
Do you feel like there are, I was talking about this with Derek and Peyton last week in regards to their team. Do you feel like there are sort of characteristics and trademarks that make a good locker room?
Oh yeah. You have to have a funny guy. We have a lot of those.
Who's funniest?
It honestly probably is Wiggs or Jay Will. They are like the funny glue of the team. Obviously, you know, you have Shea. Chet's kind of like the team weirdo.
So you need the funny guy, you need the weirdo.
Chet's like the team goofy guy. You know, now we have AC and Hart. They're like and K Rich, they're like the OGs of the group now. We have some type of like old heads in the locker room. So we kind of have like a good mix of like different personalities. You know, we have quiet dudes like Oos that we like to joke around and like get them involved too. So we have a good like mix of guys, and I think that's why the team gels so well.
Do you feel like some of this is just, and honestly, a lot of this is on the court, and you've talked about this before with us, but like just challenging each other, just being like at each other all the time, where you are, you know, not fighting or anything like that, but just being like, the level of competitiveness can also bring this out, where you're basically causing each other to almost like lift each other up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have like shooting games, boot-ray games, like even like stuff like that where it's competitive. Like,
who's most competitive?
Oh, Shea. It would probably be like, yeah, Shea for sure. But yeah, I think actually, since we're talking about two, his competitiveness brings out everybody else's, I think, to a certain extent, because he's ultra competitive, and we have a locker room full of guys that are also ultra competitive. So it's like when you see the person next to you being as competitive as he is, like, or if I see Chet, who's ultra competitive, going at it, like as a teammate, and like how close we are, it makes you want to match that or exceed that. And that's kind of like the relationship we have with each other.
Well, I was going to say, and I guess another thing with these, if you look at, you know, strong locker rooms around the league, and honestly, really in all sports, is also just leading by example. And that's what that is too. Of like, you need
like,
your
I don't
leader
know if
do
he
that.
like consciously knows that he's doing it, but like his nature is like, obviously we're all in the NBA. Our nature is to be competitive, but when he's the way he is, like I see it and I'm like, I have to match that for us to be successful. And it kind of just like trickles down the team.
I want to talk about this indie team. We're talking about this with the guys before. Every game is just a track meet.
Oh yeah.
How long do you think it took you to sort of understand, you know, once Rick got here, once sort of Ty started getting comfortable, that this was going to be how you guys were going to play?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't necessarily play like this once Rick got here. We had a completely different team. We still had Domas and Malcolm. We still had Miles. I feel like once Ty got here, and I was hurt for pretty much all that year when Ty got here, you could see what we had in him and the style that, you know, he likes to get up and down, pick and roll, just get people the ball. And you got to give credit to Rick and, you know, his staff. They completely just changed the whole offense and gave the keys to Tyrese and said, here you go do what you want. And Tyrese has ran with it.
It feels like you guys are just a pain in the ass. When they see you on the schedule, it's win or lose, it's a pain in the ass to play.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to see Indy coming to town.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, just from like your perspective now, having been in a bunch of these different groups, how much of that is just kind of like just contagious in terms of once you start feeling it's a swagger. You feel that walking into a building and you were just being like, we know exactly what we have to do. And also how much of that came from the run last year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, credit to our staff for, implementing it, and credit to everyone on our team for kind of taking it and running with it. No pun intended. It's one of those things where we're kind of going out there and playing like super selfless and playing fast and playing to our identity and not wavering from that. I feel like everyone on our team deserves a lot of credit for that, because I feel like we can, in this league, you can get stuck in a lot of ISO ball.
Yeah.
And I feel like we don't do that much, and we get out and run. And that's a credit to guy 1 through 15 on our team, kind of giving themselves up for our team. And I feel like that's a big reason we've had success. And just the way we play, we pick up full court every game. It's not like we just did it in the playoffs. So we were prepared to play like that and just kind of tried to wear teams down. And like I said,
Pascal said when he got here, he didn't get it. He didn't understand.
No.
It took him like 3 weeks to be like, oh, we're actually doing this all the time. Like, this is not
no, this is not a facade.
Yeah, this wasn't just they were doing it against us that one. I also feel like you guys Nesmith is a good example of this. Like you have so many, JJ and I would talk about this all the time, about just knowing your role and understanding you need this on the team, this. Don't, we don't need you to, go over and try to do these 9 things we don't need to do. Nesmith is like, that is a guy that like is going to have a place on a winning team.
Oh, yeah.
If he wasn't here, if he was somewhere else, he would be in the same, whatever team he's on, they're going to be using him in the right way. He's going to be winning. And so I'm just curious, like how your perspective has shifted about that with teammates in terms of you've been able to do that your whole career basically, but even what you're telling guys about how to sort of learn how to, fit in that way.
Yeah. I mean, I try to, help as much as I can. I feel like the coaching staff does. We've got a young team, but we've also experienced a lot for a young group.
Yeah.
So just giving people roles, I feel like, especially defensively, when you got guys like Drew, who's an all-league defender, and then, Drew gets tired and you throw Aaron Nesmith on him, and then I'm guarding him, and then Ben Shepherd's guarding him. I mean, that can wear you out pretty easily. And I think that's the thing that I feel like is so impressive with our team, where it's like defensively, we can throw a bunch of guys at you and pick you up full court and then play just as fast offensively. And, I feel like Ty is just phenomenal from day one since he's gotten here, of giving us an identity offensively. And then the staff, continually helping us improve defensively. It's been, a group effort. With
Chet, what is your, he's obviously missed some time. He's working himself back into it. Mm-hmm. Insane talent.
Yeah.
What is your just playing experience been like with him?
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's just like we almost forgot, because we were rolling, and then he came back, and we almost forgot like what a luxury it is to have him. Like there's a couple plays I think in the first couple games where it's like guys got beat one-on-one, and all of a sudden he's there and he's just like, double hand Mutombo block at the rim, and it's like there's no chance for this. Like I think Scotty Barnes beat somebody baseline in one of our games before the break, and Chet met him at low man, and like Scotty Barnes is has good length, is athletic,
big dude.
Yeah, like 6'10", 6'9" guy. He had no chance, and like I was like, we missed that. I forgot what that was like. That's nice to have. And then the last, we've been playing him and Hart together, and he's stretching the floor and making threes. Like the versatility of that is, I don't want to say unprecedented, because I'm sure there's guys that have done it like at least decently, but same thing. Like he's 20, 22.
Yeah.
He's going to get better.
Yeah. I saw it a lot in New York last year. Did you realize with Hart, with the playmaking, what he was?
Yeah, I knew he was. We played him 4 times the last couple of years when I was with Chicago. Yeah. So like he slicing and dicing. It wasn't as much here because he was playing with Jalen, and Jalen was, having his 3 months where he had like 35 a game and just doing everything. But no, I knew what kind of player he was. I knew he had the passes and stuff, and that was even something like I was behind playing with him when we first started, like on cuts. There was a couple cuts where like I'd go play splits and try to either cut to the rim and I was late on my slip, or I would cut and I wasn't 100% looking at him and like the ball's running. I'm like, oh shit, my bad. Like,
are you guys the old heads?
I'm the oldest guy on the team.
How old is he?
Me and K-Rich. Hart's only 26.
So you're like grandpa of the team.
Yes, they call me OG, an old guy. Like I'm like a median age, like barely over median in the NBA. But I'm the oldest guy.
This is the thing you were talking earlier about dating about the. This is worse
I am getting there. I'm getting there.
This is worse than TV guys.
This is year 8. We're getting there. We're getting there.
This is you in LA,
but they're also like they're kids. Most of them are like actual kids, so like they don't know any better. Kaysen makes fun of me because I'm bald all the time, and he's like, it happened one time. I think it was either, I can't remember if it was at practice or at the arena, and he was looking at me as I'm like walking in, and he's like started laughing. I'm like what is it today? Like what are we doing? He's like, I just really forget. Like you're the first bald teammate I've ever had. And I'm like, dude, it's because you're 22 years old. Like you've only played with high schoolers and college kids.
You're like,
yeah,
welcome to the next 12 years of your life.
Yeah, if I didn't like them so much, we'd have issues.
Are there other things with guys in the team that you feel like you've, like, not that you feel like is coming soon, but like that you've noticed that maybe don't get as much attention as you feel like should, in terms of just like little details that you feel like, because everything contributes to this
for
success.
Sure.
You know, it's not, Shai's probably going to win the MVP, you know, all these different things, but like that isn't, you don't get to this point just with one dude. You don't get there with 2 all-stars. You get there with 8 or 9.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is like we're the most, the roster is the healthiest it's been all year right now, outside of Topic, who's obviously out for the year, and then AJ Mitchell, who is on his way back. Like, I'm trying to put it into perspective of like how deep the team is, but like the talent at the depth, you know, like some teams are deep, but it's like this guy can only shoot, or like this guy can only play defense and, you know, run the lane. It's like this guy's really just a creator. Like he can't really shoot or like play defense. Like we just have
guys who do a lot.
12 guys who can dribble, pass, shoot, defend. You know, and like guys like, you know, Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins, who don't get a lot of notoriety, especially with the OKC market being the way it is, like to where if they're playing in New York or LA, like people around the country in the league, they would know more about those guys. But like that's one of the things. Like even K-Rich has come in and played small ball 5 and like he's shooting the ball really well, rebounds really well, can guard. Like there's not a lot of guys on the team that can't play basketball.
I will say this. I remember talking to Bruce Springsteen about this, who'd been famous a lot longer than I had been. And, you know, I was like, man, I miss just, you know, being able to walk around and not be noticed. And he says, Barack, let me tell you, that's the price you pay for living your dreams, which is the right perspective. It's like, you know, that's a high-class problem to have. Sure. But it must be even hard for you because, you know, you sticking out.
What's hard for me?
Like you can't, because you can't hide. I mean, you know.
We were saying it's harder for him in New York now. In the last like 3 months.
New York is an interesting place now.
That's interesting.
After the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because like I used to, we go to New York, we go to dinner every time I'm in New York, and usually.
But now people talk about you.
Now, like you feel the eyes, you can hear conversations. We just want to get out of there.
Yeah. Are they nice to you? Or
no.
They treat you like Reggie Miller.
Yeah. At that level at this point. Yeah.
Well, you got a little spicy. You know, I saw you. You're not at Reggie Miller level, but you were definitely.
He's encouraging me to get to that level.
I know he has. I know he has. Absolutely. But that's the great thing about sports, man. I mean, those battles, but you know, between the Knicks and Indiana, those were the best. Yeah.
I do have another stat though, which is an actual stat. Hopefully this is right. You guys have 759 steals, 866 turnovers, but there was a long period where you had more steals and turnovers, which had never been done.
Are we below that now?
Yeah, you're at 759 steals and 866 turnovers. 10.4 steals per game, which is best since 1973.
Our steals have dropped a little bit.
Yeah, so maybe you're slacking on the steals. But is there an art to the steal?
Good defense.
Have some dogs out there.
All state.
Have 5 guys that can take the ball from somebody. Yeah, that helps.
Some of it's that. Some of it's like defensive scheme. Like when you can buy into a scheme, like no matter what the coach is doing, like to a certain extent, like you can really like.
But yeah, part of it is like we said, like I've made all defensive teams. Lou should have made a couple already. Like Shea's like 3rd in the league in steals. Dub would probably be up there too if we all got accounted for the
amount of steals we poked Touche.
And then we got Kaysen, who's in his 2nd year, and he's just like he's told me this before, like he doesn't know the full scouts on like players.
Doesn't watch,
moves.
yeah. He just
is guarding people off of ability, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
Like that's 5 guys right there that you really don't want to play one-on-one against. And now you put 2 of the other 3 or 2 of the other 4 in the first passing lane away, and it's like, well, you better be real tight with your move.
What do you think makes this particular team so efficient? How much of it is just Shea? Just how his ability to control?
That is a big part.
He helps.
Yeah. He's a big help. I think some of it too is like just sharing the ball. Like it's gonna sound like a boring media answer, but it genuinely is like finding windows to pass to each other, cutting, running. I think a lot of it is defense. You know, when you can get out in transition, you get the most efficient shots. That's just what it is. It's like understanding each other. Like I know where he's going to be if I come off a ball screen. Like I know he's going to be in the right spot. So if I get stuck, I know where I can take just like stuff like that. Like knowing the offense, knowing what we want to get accomplished. Like
we got good players, man.
Yeah,
like
nice.
we said, like we got we got a plethora.
Wiggs had 41.
Yeah. Wiggs have 40 in a game. Ijo's hit 8 threes before.
42.
Yeah.
Wiggs had 42, I think.
Like I think over the last couple of games, I'm averaging like mid double digits. Like we can get it done with a bunch of different people.
This is probably not either of you guy question, but I'm curious when it comes to the playoff. But you've now both been in this. You've been in it more. When it comes to the playoffs, there's an obvious rotations are different. Like there's just there's a shortening of rotations, shrinking of rotations, and so figuring that part of it out. When you got so many good players is tricky in a way versus like, oh, we got 4 guys and everyone else, who knows what we're going to get, but we know we're going to get these 4 guys every night. And so I feel like that's, I don't even know what the question is because I don't give an answer for it, but it is a thing to like think about going into the playoffs.
Part of that is like, one, you got to have a team that's like willing to sacrifice a little bit. Like we don't win 61 games without people sacrificing on some nights. 2, understanding that like any series could be different. Like the way you match up with a certain team could be different than another team depending on what's going to work. And part of it is like, dude, it's like we're all weapons. Like at any point in time, like we've had probably the most for the teams that are trying to win. Like we've had a lot of, I would argue we probably have the most different rotations and starting lineups. And that's just to benefit us. So like when it comes time to change something up,
it's not new, it's not foreign.
Yeah, it's we've had rhythm, we've had reps in it. To me, I see it as an advantage more so than
because it's a next man up. We've had
that. We've had that. Like obviously, you've only been here a year, but like we've had that through my 3 years. Like when I first got here, I'm thinking like my rookie year, I'm not going to play, and like I'm starting like close to like the season, just like randomly, like Mark will like throw you in the game, like. To see like he'll do it all year, so it's like one of those things where everybody knows it to the point where like the playoffs like aren't even really off limits. Like health isn't promised, like you said, like matching up with certain teams is going to be different. He's going to think you might be good for this team and maybe not good for this team, or
like an example of that too is like the trust that Mark has in us and then also we have in each other is like the other night at SAC, like they made a little bit of a run and then we got it to like 12, 13, 14, 15 points with like 4.5, 5 minutes ago. I think our finishing lineup was K-Rich, J-Will, Ijo, Shea, and Lou.
Yeah.
I don't know how many minutes that whole rotation has played together, and they finished the game out and ended up sealing it off and won the game. He didn't play. I think Chet ended up subbing in like 2.5 minutes ago, but like for the most part, that was the lineup. Like it's just the diversity that we can throw out there is kind of insane when you look at it.
With a little time now to reflect after this last playoff run, what do you feel like you learned just from that experience overall?
and this really does nothing to do with like me, but just like, I feel like the playoffs is just like one of those things where it's like, you just can't be afraid to fail. And like, you have to just trust what work you put in over the course of the year. So like this year, it's like embracing struggling a little bit, trying to do things that like I know I had to do in the playoffs. So like that's going to come with like some bumps and like, you know, trying to like actively work on stuff while I'm in season. And, you know, it's also a good position because our team is playing so well. It allows me to like have a little more leadway to be able to do it. But just like taking and this isn't like I took the season last year super serious, but like just like every game really means a lot as far as like trying to get better and like not ending up in the same place you were at the end of the year.
As a young dude, you're sort of constantly stretching yourself. It feels like, how hard is that for you in terms of just sort of like the sake of team improvement versus personal improvement?
Yeah, it's a balance. And like I said, that's something I'm like learning too. Like, I think sometimes I want so much for myself that I have to like kind of like reel in and be like, this is my third year in the NBA. Yeah. And like, we've had a very drastic change in those 3 years. We went from 500 to first in the West, you know, for 2 years. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, how good can I be without like ruining the team dynamic and like also keeping people involved? And I think that's like a very good role to be in because not many people are asked to do it. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's also just like what you were talking about before about learning how to impact the game without just scoring. Yeah. So you can do that every night and it doesn't have to be, you don't need 26 points a game for you to go do that.
Yeah.